A painting by Mary Cassatt shows a mother holding a glass for a toddler. In another Cassatt work, a mother embraces a baby. A Vincent van Gogh painting shows a mother steadying a child while they learn to walk. Logos, University of Louisiana, Lafayette, Moving Image Arts, Our Bio. In a painting by Kitagawa Utamaro, a mother leans over a baby. A Cassatt painting shows a mother with a baby and toddler in her lap. Credits, produced by Connie Castile, Phyllis Baudouin Grifford. A mother gazes at a child on her lap in a mid-19th century painting. In another painting, a smiling child leans against his mother. Title: The Quiet Cajuns. An impressionist painting shows a mother holding a child on her lap. Credits, music by Jano Frischberg, Ruben Burgess. In a painting by Renoir, a child sits on his mother's lap playing with toys. Elise Fauchot, mother of 6-year-old Hunter.
He has a very visual memory, a very good memory.
She holds a child.
These vacations and these trips and things that I'd rather spend my money on than toys and things around the house are really making a difference with him. He'll remember them for a while.
New Iberia.
Now we haven't gotten to the point where he's experienced any vision loss yet.
Hunter wears glasses and sits next to her while she reads. An American flag billows under fluffy clouds. A man holding a white cane rolls a bin to the curb. Opens and closes the bin, waves his hand over his nose. He moves with his cane to the mailbox. Opens it and holds the mail. He walks with his cane toward the front door of a bungalow. Subtitle: There were so many times when my wife and I would run into each other. Inside, he takes dishes from a drainer. Subtitles: Before, there were so many walls and so many blind spots. So we decided to open it up and give us more room. He reaches for towels on a washing machine then moves down a hallway. Subtitles: In the beginning, I did a lot myself. The destruction part, tearing it all down, he signs. Subtitles: It kept my fitness level up. Subtitles: My wife Annie is very proud of the work. My chest and all my muscles are much better formed and she likes that. Danner Abbey, 57, Lafayette. He smiles. Leslie Perriton, tactile interpreter, sits with him. Dr. Jennifer Lentz.
I had a high school teacher, science teacher, that I really loved. She was very adventurous in science, and we really had a lot of opportunity to do hands-on work in science, probably because I really liked her. I thought she was a neat person and really smart. And so I could envision doing what she did. I think that's where my love of science was born.
She unwraps a book in an early photo.
My research is on Usher Syndrome, which is the cause of combined deafness and blindness. Through this research and my experience with it, I really have a strong interest in sensory perception, how we perceive the world around us through vision and hearing.
A woman holds another's hands while she signs. A photo shows a smiling baby. Subtitles: When I was born, my parents didn't know I was deaf until I was 15 months old. This was 1963. Dan signs. Subtitles: I was in the kitchen. There was a window. There was a train track near our home. I felt the rattling, so I'd run to the window. A video shows rattling train tracks at night. Subtitles: Eventually, my parents started to realize that I was feeling my environment, not hearing it. We didn't know I would begin to experience vision loss until I was 16. A couple poses for a photo with their newborn in a hospital.
When he didn't pass the newborn hearing test in the hospital, we didn't really think it was that big of a deal. Apparently it happens a lot, so we just moved on with our newborn, went home. They said in 2 weeks come back and retest. 2 weeks later, when we went to the audiologist and did another hearing test, there was no brain activity in response to sound. I was with my mom. My husband was at work. I had to basically go in the hall and call my husband and say, he's deaf. He can't hear. He's not going to hear. You know, I think even in the hospital, I said, if he's born deaf and that's the worst thing, then it's really not that bad. You know, it's something we can deal with, absolutely.
An infant's ear. Text: 1 in 500 newborns today are born with hearing impairment. 1 in 1,000 has a genetic cause of their hearing impairment.
We're hoping that because the prevalence of some types of Usher syndrome is greater here in Louisiana, we're hoping to be able to educate the physicians that there may be a good reason to go right ahead and do genetic testing early on because of a founder mutation that came in the Acadian population from Canada to Louisiana. We know that it's important for families to know and be able to choose what type of therapy they want for their hearing impairment if they know they're going to lose their vision later.
Hunter reaches for a dog.
Over the course of the first year, when he wasn't meeting his milestones, I started researching a lot of blogs of kids with hearing loss. And I found a lady who had 2 children with Usher syndrome, and she was on a group called Parents of Cochlear Implant Recipients. Then one day someone said, what about children who were born profoundly deaf with balance issues? And she said, well, 60% of children born profoundly deaf with balance issues have Usher syndrome. And the day I read that email, it was like a gut punch because I had a first cousin with Usher syndrome. And at this point, I had learned that this is genetic and this is a possibility. But what are the odds that my husband and I both carry this gene? And at that point, we didn't know, but we figured it was very slim. 2 weeks after his first birthday, he got bilateral cochlear implants on both sides of his ears. And a week after, when we went to do the follow-up post-op appointment, we drew blood for the genetic testing.
Baby Hunter wears bandages.
There have been studies that have been conducted, and we know that if parents know that their child is going to lose their vision later, they're more likely to choose a cochlear implant for their child. This doesn't mean that it's necessary. It also doesn't mean that it's the only good option. In the past, before cochlear implants were available, individuals with profound deafness learned sign language.
Dan signs with Leslie next to him. A family video plays from the 60s. A toddler sits in a child's rocker holding an infant. Subtitle: I was born a Cajun. Children climb onto a tractor in a field. Subtitle: I'm gonna die a Cajun. Toddlers play with a trike on the lawn. Subtitle: We are 6 boys in the family. A family photo shows 6 boys, each slightly taller than the other. Subtitle: I didn't have to make phone calls to friends to come over to play football. Boys wear PJs and boxing gloves. They swim in a public pool. Subtitle: We grew up having a great time. They surround a table while a boy blows out birthday candles. Subtitle: Baseball, football, basketball. They wear helmets and play football on the lawn. Subtitle: My family would always go to different music events like festivals. A man plays an accordion. Subtitle: But I would always stay at the campground because I wasn't interested. A boat glides over a lake. Subtitle: At the age of 6, I didn't know what a deaf school even looked like. A boy water skis. Subtitle: I didn't know it was a residential school. They gaze at a newborn in a bassinet. Subtitle: I was in the habit of being at home with my brothers and parents, but when they dropped me off, I felt really odd. Where was I? A young boy stands next to a car with a suitcase. Subtitle: I thought I was going to visit to look around and go on a tour for the day. A boy with freckles stands in a classroom wearing a plaid shirt. Subtitles: And then my parents gave me a toy truck. They didn't want me to see them leave. And I looked up and they were gone. And I just cried. Why am I here? 2 weeks passed. Dan continues to sign. Subtitles: And I kind of forgot about it because of the friends around me. The peers helped me to go on. The school was a big change. Boys crowd around Santa. Subtitles: I was learning so much ASL and meeting friends who were like me. A roast turkey sits on a table. Subtitles: After 6 weeks we went home for Thanksgiving. My parents showed up. And I was so excited. As the years passed,
Thank you all for coming here. My name is Dan. My wife Annie.
I noticed that deaf children tend to be more independent than hearing children when they finish a residential school, and I think that's what gave me the confidence later on in life to go to college. A group signs as they sit around picnic tables with Dan eating crawfish. Children wear colorful wigs and dance on a stage.
He likes to dance. He loves music. He's in a hip-hop class. I mean, it's his thing. I'm not gonna lie, it was awkward to bring him at first. He was the only boy in the whole dance school. And a year later, he pretty much stole the show for the review. The smile on his face during the review just alleviated any discomfort that I ever had, because that's what makes him happy. One of our pediatricians said you need to give him the tools that he needs for what he enjoys to do so that he builds self-confidence. Because depression is a huge side effect of this disease as well. This world is it's already cruel enough, and he's already gonna have the cochlear implants on his head. I do have these fellow moms who have children with Usher Syndrome that I see at the family conferences every year, and some of them are getting dogs and some of them are getting white canes. My older cousin does read books on Braille, but it's just not an option we've had to resort to yet.
Hunter and kids surround a birthday cake.
His birthday is on Monday. He wants to celebrate for a week or a month, every single day, and everything's about him, and it's his special week or a special day because it's his birthday. And I'm just sitting there going, oh, it's one more year closer. It's like 365 steps closer to possible vision loss. And I did one time, I went to confession to a priest and I said, I'm jealous. I'm jealous of these normal kids who walk around and they can hear and they can talk and they can walk, and said, you know what, it'll make you more compassionate in the end. And I do think it has.
Hunter blows out a candle. A photo shows Dan as a smiling young man. Subtitles: Growing up, we didn't know I would go blind. When I was 15 or 16, my father let me drive. It was night. Headlights glow in the darkness on a 2-lane road. Subtitles: It was really hard for me to see, so my dad had to take the wheel. He realized there was something different about me. Anywhere I would be, it was a dark space. A long brick building stands under a gray sky. Subtitles: I saw a doctor from Houston who came to the Louisiana School for the Deaf. Dan signs. Subtitles: He tested probably 500 students and 20% of us were identified as having Usher Syndrome. And we were puzzled. What is Usher Syndrome? That's why I had to prepare ahead of time that I would be blind eventually. I took that opportunity to learn Braille while I could still see very well. Tactile interpreting. Using the cane for mobility. I took training at the Affiliated Blind in Lafayette. Cooking, independent living, mobility, and being with other deaf-blind people helped me to grow as a deaf-blind individual. Headline: Programs sparse for deaf, blind in Acadiana. Subtitles: The deaf-blind were so frustrated. Their quality of life was not good. They wanted to be out and about but they couldn't. They couldn't get to their doctor's appointments. Their health suffered for it. In a group photo, a woman signs a document while others, including Dan, stand behind her. Subtitles: That's why we set up the Support Service Provider Program, SSP. Their life is so different now. They were so excited. They could go to restaurants. They could go to the doctor. I'm so happy we have this program. A group gathers at a community space, cooking and eating crawfish. A woman holds the door for Dan and they walk inside together. Subtitles: One Friday each month, my SSP and I go to Starbucks. We were the only 2 deaf people there because a lot of people didn't have transportation. They didn't have tactile interpreters. Now, with the SSP program, a lot of deaf-blind people come. There are so many events, picnics, family gatherings, and the SSP gets us there. A woman signs while another woman holds her hands. Subtitles: We make new friends, meet new people. The SSP explains our environment to us and guides us. But, the deaf-blind have a good sense of smell. He unwraps a sandwich at a restaurant. Subtitles, so I know where the food court is and I don't need my SSP. I know where the cookies are. I know I want to go in that direction. My sense of smell is so important. And at home, if someone would break in, I know I could actually smell a different odor. He signs with others at the table. Subtitle, each person has his or her own smell. Folded clothes lay on a bed. An accent pillow of a hand forming I love you in ASL sits at the top of the bed. Subtitles, some things we have to do on our own, like getting dressed. We put a Braille label on pants, blouses, and shirts. A pile of Braille labels lays on the bed. Subtitles, it says color, RE, red, BL, blue, BR, browns, and it's sewn into each garment. As for money, $1, $5, $10, $20. We have to fold bills differently since U.S. currency doesn't have tactile indicators. Like a $5 bill will be one fold. $10 is folded again. He folds a $10 bill twice. Subtitle, 20 is folded lengthwise. Coins are easier. We can throw them together because size and texture lets us know the difference. He adds a folded 20 to his wallet. Runners begin a marathon. Medals sit on a table. 5K fight for sight.
I kept saying I was going to do it since he was born. I felt like I just needed to do more as his mom. Our nonprofit, we start with a race. We had over 600 people register, and we found families that we didn't even know had Usher syndrome. We knew there was research in the works. Dr. Jennifer Lentz from LSU in New Orleans does research on Usher syndrome type 1C, the French Acadian strand of the gene.
Dr. Lentz in the lab.
Between 1979 and 1983, she and her colleagues traveled around the state of Louisiana to interview families and recruit them to participate in a genetics study. They interviewed families, they drew family pedigrees, some of which went back to the 1800s. They took samples from the families. So in our laboratory, we developed an animal model of Acadian Usher syndrome. We cloned that mutation from a patient and put it into a mouse. We call that a knock-in. We tested their hearing, tested their balance, and tested their vision. And in the Acadian mice, they have very little, if any, nerve activity from the ear to the brain. So we know they have a severe to profound hearing impairment, similar to patients with Acadian Usher syndrome. To understand their balance deficit, the Acadian mice run in circles in their cage, and that is indicative of a vestibular deficit or a balance disorder, and measure the response of the eye to the light, different levels of light that are being sent from the eye to the brain.
A mouse runs.
The first therapeutic approach that we developed was an approach to target specifically that Acadian mutation, and it's called an antisense oligonucleotide. When we treat our animals with this antisense oligonucleotide, it restores their hearing, it restores their balance, and their vision impairment. It's a very exciting time in our laboratory to have developed and are testing a therapy that works for our Acadian Usher mice. So we're really hopeful that we'll be able to try an approach like this with patients. I like to think that we're years away instead of decades away. This next phase after discovery in the development of a drug and a clinical trial is a very expensive phase. In the United States, it's estimated to cost anywhere between $5 and $15 million. That is a significant challenge for disorders that affect few individuals. Usher syndrome is considered to be an orphan disease or a rare disease. It affects worldwide around 1 in 20,000 individuals. So in the United States, there's anywhere between 20 and 40,000 individuals with Usher syndrome. And in our case, it's estimated to be around 200 patients in the world with this specific type of Usher syndrome caused by this specific mutation. And almost all of them are here in Louisiana.
From above, Google Earth shows Louisiana. Sign, Amelia Manor, Nursing Home. While using a white cane, Dan makes his way down the nursing home hallway. He sits at a desk, then removes a badge from his bag and slips it on. Text, Amelia Manor Nursing Home, Danny Raby, Case Manager, Deaf/Blind Unit. He signs while a woman holds his hands. Subtitles, as far as I know, there's probably 400. But really, there's probably 1,000 because they're hiding out in trees for all I know. Some live with their parents and we've lost track of them. He helps a woman from a wheelchair. Subtitles, we need to work harder on finding more deaf-blind citizens because they're out there. He holds a woman's hands while she signs. A man deals oversized playing cards. Subtitles, before my eyes started to deteriorate, I could do so many things. But after I noticed the change, I really gave up a lot of things I used to do. I had to adjust my life. A man walks behind him holding a white cane. Subtitles, now, I'm still driving, but I'm driving bumper cars at fairs. Leslie sits next to Dan and grins. Hunter plays the piano.
We're a very faith-filled family. We believe in miracles and we pray every day and we bring him to get lots of blessings from lots of people. I used to pray for a cure. I used to pray for all these things all the time, and I think while I still pray for a cure, I just pray for him to be happy.
He looks up from the piano and smiles. Credits, produced by Connie Castile, Phyllis Baudouin Grifford. Directed and written by Connie Castile. Directors of Photography, Allison Boldahart, Brian Miller Richard. Second Camera Unit, Emil Grifford, Alex Arsenault, Chris Myers, Levi Porter, Ryan Watts. Music by Ruben Burgess, Jonathan Yano Frischberg. Sound editor Mike Gilbert. Edited by Trevor Navarre. Color by Evan Richard. Participants, Elise and Hunter Fosho, Dan Arabi, Dr. Jennifer Lentz. Special thanks, Lynn Blanchard, Virgile Bedock, Shirley Delahousse, Leslie Paradon, Winston Sonny Arabi and Esther Meyer Arabi. Amelia Manor, Affiliated Blind of Louisiana. Featured artwork, Mother Feeding Child, The Good Night Hug, First Steps After Millet, Midnight, Mother and Sleepy Child, Children Playing with a Dog, Young Mother Gazing, The Child's Bath, Mother and Child in the Conservatory, Child with Toys. Logo, University of Louisiana Lafayette, Moving Image Arts. Logo, Our Bio. Logo, Ush1C, Break the Silence, See the Future. To donate, contact ush1c@gmail.com.